At the Bharat Mobility Global Expo 2025, held in New Delhi, a small Pune-based startup made headlines all over the world. It was a historic moment. India announced its first solar-powered EV car that would shake the entire industry. The Vayve Eva, a compact solar-assisted electric vehicle, is a bold challenge to both traditional automakers and emerging electric mobility players. With its promise of ultra-low running costs, a futuristic design, and an eco-conscious edge, this tiny car carries the potential to shake up not just the Indian automotive industry, but the way cities move. Let's get started. The Vayve Eva. When Vayve Mobility, the Pune-based electric vehicle startup, revealed the Eva at the 2025 Bharat Mobility Global Expo held in New Delhi, it marked a notable step forward in crafting urban mobility solutions tailored to India's congested streets and evolving sustainability goals. The Eva measures just 3,060 mm in length, 1,150 mm in width, and 1,590 mm in height, seated on a 2,200 mm wheelbase. These dimensions barely exceed those of similar micro-EVs, like the MG Comet EV, and hint at its nimble, quadricycle-like agility. Inside, Vayve delivered an inventive layout, a centrally positioned driver up front, flanked behind by a bench seat that fits one adult and one child comfortably. In effect, the Eva functions as a three-seater. Two passengers share the rear seat alongside the driver's central perch. This arrangement reduces cabin width, while prioritizing efficient use of space and ease of ingress, particularly in cramped urban environments, where property footprint is at a premium. The interior's clean aesthetic is enhanced by features like a dual-screen dashboard, a two-spoke steering wheel, a six-way adjustable driver's seat, and a fixed glass roof. The car boasts modern touches that belie its compact dimensions, but it is a total game-changer. A panoramic sunroof, available in higher variants such as Stella and Vega, imbues the cabin with natural light and enhances spatial perception, making it feel more expansive than its diminutive footprint would suggest. From the outside, the Eva conveys a futuristic sensibility through design cues like slim LED daytime running light strips, a short hood, and angular windshield geometry that contribute to aerodynamic efficiency, despite the inherently boxy profile. At the heart of its innovation, though, lies the high-efficiency, flexible solar panel integrated into the roof. Under optimal sunlight, this solar roof is claimed to deliver an additional 10 kilometers of range per day, scaling to around 3,000 kilometers of free, solar-assisted driving per year. Vayve emphasizes that in many Indian cities, this extra range equates to approximately 30% of a typical urban commuter's annual mileage. This is a meaningful reduction in reliance on plug-in charging. This solar augmentation complements the car's battery-based propulsion, most notably in the Vega variant, which enlists an 18 kilowatt-hour battery pack, liquid cooling, and rear-mounted motor delivering enough power to reach 60 to 70 kilometers per hour, with a realistic full charge range of about 250 kilometers. Whether paired with AC charging, which takes 5 hours for 10 to 90%, or a 20-minute DC charge from 10 to 70%, the solar roof silently supplements daily energy intake. Together, Eva's compact aerodynamic design and the smart integration of solar photovoltaics make it an affordable, efficient, and environmentally conscious transport solution tailored to India's dense cityscapes. The seating layout not only accentuates practicality and novelty, but also aligns with sustainability in motion. Particularly when under the relentless South Asian sun, that solar roof quietly adds tangible kilometers. Let's talk specifics now. Battery and range options. The Vayve Eva comes in 3 tailored battery variants: Nova, Stella, and Vega, each designed to address diverse commuter needs, budget levels, and performance expectations. The Nova variant offers a 9 kilowatt-hour air-cooled lithium ferrophosphate, or LFP battery, delivering a claimed real-world range of about 125 kilometers. This is ideal for intra-city errands and short commutes. The mid-range Stella steps up with a 12.6 kilowatt-hour battery, also air-cooled, which extends the range to approximately 175 kilometers. At the top of the lineup is the Vega, equipped with an 18 kilowatt-hour battery featuring liquid cooling. This enables a notable 250 kilometers of range on a single charge, meeting the needs of longer daily use. All three variants share a similar rear-mounted permanent magnet synchronous motor, but with power tuned for their respective batteries. The Nova and Stella deliver around 12 kilowatts, while the Vayve brings in a slightly stronger 15 kilowatts, enabling brisk acceleration of 0 to 40 kilometers per hour in roughly 5 seconds, and top speeds ranging from 60 kilometers per hour in the case of Nova and Stella to 70 kilometers per hour for Vayve. This makes the Eva well suited to urban traffic dynamics and frequent stop-start conditions. On the charging front, both the Nova and Stella variants operate on 48-volt systems and are limited to AC home charging, typically via a standard 15-amp socket, reaching from 10 to 90% charge in about 5 hours. The Vayve's 320-volt setup, by contrast, supports both AC charging, also around 5 hours for 10 to 90%, and DC fast charging, achieving a 10 to 70% charge in 20 minutes. Just 5 minutes of DC charging adds roughly 50 kilometers of range. Beyond conventional charging, the Eva introduces a distinctive advantage with its optional solar roof, priced at approximately $240 for Nova and Stella, and $301 for Vayve. This flexible solar panel can yield an extra 10 to 12 kilometers of driving range per day under optimal sunlight, which adds up to around 3,000 kilometers of solar-assisted, cost-free driving annually. For many urban commuters, this solar gain equates to nearly 30% of annual mileage. Pricing and purchase models. The entry-level Nova variant comes at an ex-showroom price of about $3,910, designed to attract budget-conscious urban commuters. The Stella mid-range variant follows at roughly $4,800, while the top-spec Vayve variant is priced at around $5,400 under the battery as a subscription or BaaS model, where the battery isn't included in the upfront cost. Vayve's BaaS model works on a 2 rupees per kilometer usage fee, a pricing scheme that significantly lowers the initial vehicle cost. This means that users get more than 40 kilometers per dollar. Customers under this model agree to a minimum monthly mileage commitment: 600 kilometers for the Nova, 800 kilometers for the Stella, and 1,200 kilometers for the Vayve. This ensured that the battery usage was monetized per actual driving need, rather than a flat, high upfront cost. The lower initial price via BaaS can be especially appealing to those less concerned about ownership and more focused on usability and affordability. This dual-pronged pricing strategy, combining traditional ownership with a usage-based subscription, has a clear precedent in other markets, but takes on distinctive relevance in India, where upfront affordability remains a key barrier to EV adoption. Vayve accounted for this by offering both the lower-cost BaaS and the full purchase option, with no compromise on core features or performance between the two paths. Shifting to the production and delivery timeline, Vayve Mobility announced plans to commence commercial production. This was directly communicated in press statements delivered at the launch event in January 2025. However, there was a significant gap between production start and market availability. Vayve confirmed that customer deliveries are scheduled to begin in the second half of 2026. This phased rollout was designed to ensure production quality, supply chain readiness, dealer integration, and scaling up of manufacturing facilities. The initial launch would be limited to select Indian cities, specifically Pune and Bengaluru, before expanding nationwide in later phases. Piloting in Pune, their home turf, and Bengaluru, an established EV market, also reflects shrewd geographic planning. Pune offers proximity to their R&D and manufacturing, while Bengaluru reflects high EV awareness and urban demand. On the financial side, Eva's full ownership prices, about $4,800 for Nova, $6,000 for Stella, and $7,210 for Vayve, slot the vehicle in as one of the most affordable EVs for India when compared against petrol or CNG hatchbacks and other small EVs. Conversely, the BaaS-priced versions, around $3,910 to $5,400, offer even lower entry points, reducing sticker shock and aiming at cost-sensitive buyers. This tiered and flexible model could well make the Eva a compelling choice for urban mobility in India's evolving EV landscape. Speaking of India's evolving EV landscape, the past, present, and future of EVs in India. India's EV story begins as a recent sprint rather than a century-long marathon. The first formal push arrived with the National Electric Mobility Mission, announced in 2013, and the Faster Adoption and Manufacturing of Hybrid and Electric Vehicles program, or FAME1, which was launched in April 2015, providing subsidies for early adopters and seed funding for charging infrastructure. A second, larger phase, FAME2, began in April 2019 with increased incentives focused on buses, three-wheelers, and two-wheelers, and concluded in March 2024. These schemes seeded industry investment and manufacturing capacity across India's automotive clusters in Pune, Chennai, and Sanand. The Indian government has since layered additional state incentives, tax waivers, and production-linked incentives that collectively created the regulatory scaffolding for the current EV market. By the mid-20s, the market shape became obvious: rapid electrification of two- and three-wheelers, nascent but growing adoption of electric passenger cars, and strategic fleet electrification in buses and delivery vans. Total EV registrations in India have reached roughly 1.97 million units, up about 17% year-on-year, with electric passenger vehicle registrations crossing 100,000 units, a milestone indicating passenger car traction, even as two-wheelers continued to dominate volumes. Price sensitivity defines Indian demand. For context, mainstream compact EVs sit at very different price tiers. The Tata Nexon EV, one of the country's best-selling electric SUVs, starts at about $14,250 and stretches higher depending on range and equipment. The MG Comet EV, a city-focused micro EV, has launch prices of nearly $7,125. Tata's Tiago.EV begins around $9,120. On the low end, two-wheelers and e-rickshaws remain vastly cheaper, influencing millions of mobility decisions. These price bands show why an EV priced at around $3,710 attracts immediate attention. It sits below most passenger EVs and approaches the affordability of aspirational internal combustion engine hatchbacks. Choices and product architectures have split along use cases. Urban micro EVs and quadricycles, with their small footprint, low top speed, and limited battery capacity, aim at short daily trips and last-mile work, while mid-sized crossovers, such as Tata Nexon and Mahindra XUV EVs, target family buyers and longer commutes. Two-wheelers, dominated by startups such as Ather, Ola, and Hero's EV Push, and legacy players, address single-rider economics. Fleet electrification for delivery, taxis, and public transport industries has been a parallel growth vector, supported by state tenders and corporate fleet pilots. Charging infrastructure expansion, such as in the case of Tata Power, EV charging startups, and public players, has improved but remains geographically uneven, favoring large metros and major highways. Against that backdrop, Vayve Mobility's Eva occupies a strategic niche, with a BAAS-discounted ex-showroom entry price of $3,710 for the Nova and full purchase equivalents of $6,840 for the top Vega. Eva undercuts many mass-market EVs on sticker price and targets dense urban commuters and first-time car buyers. Its three-seat, micro EV packaging and low running cost proposition position it directly against high-usage two-wheelers and ultra-cheap internal combustion engine autos as a step up in safety and comfort. The optional solar roof adds roughly 10 to 12 kilometers per day in ideal conditions. Eva's competitive value rests on two pillars: upfront affordability, especially via the battery-as-a-service option, and energy resilience through integrated photovoltaics. The BAAS model reduces initial capital outlay and mirrors global subscription trends. At ₹2 per kilometer, $1 buys roughly 40.5 kilometers of battery usage. The solar roof gives a small but tangible margin of autonomy in sunny geographies, a differentiator for customers wary of inconsistent public charges or high electricity costs. But Eva also faces structural headwinds. Brand trust and after-sales networks remain weak for startups versus legacy original equipment manufacturers. Charging and service networks outside core launch cities as Pune and Bengaluru are inconsistent, and the solar yield varies dramatically by region. For example, Rajasthan or Gujarat may realize near-ideal solar gains, while Delhi's winter smog or monsoon months in coastal cities will reduce solar benefit materially. Competition is also intensifying. Established players, such as Tata, MG, and Mahindra, are moving down market. New micro-EV entrants are emerging, and international firms, such as VinFast and others, are localizing production, raising the bar on scale and distribution. Looking forward, India's EV landscape will likely bifurcate: sustained dominance of electric two-wheelers and last-mile fleets, broader adoption of compact and mid-size passenger EVs in metros, and a growing micro-EV segment for cost-sensitive urban users. Post-FAME incentives, state subsidies, charging mandates, and private investment in domestic battery manufacturing and charging will shape which models scale. Eva's success will hinge on production scale, warranty, and battery economics under BAAS, and proving real-world solar gains to skeptical buyers. If Vayve can convert its headline affordability and solar edge into reliable ownership economics and a service footprint beyond Pune and Bengaluru, Eva could be a credible catalyst in the next phase of India's EV adoption. So, what does Vayve plan to do? Market impact, sustainability goals, and future prospects. Beyond affordability, the Vayve Eva's flexible, roof-mounted solar panel can add up to 10 kilometers of range per day in optimal sunlight, translating to roughly 3,000 kilometers annually. While this might not seem like a massive figure at first glance, it effectively means months of city commuting without plugging into the grid for drivers with shorter daily routes. In a country where electricity infrastructure can be inconsistent and energy prices volatile, that reduction in grid dependence can translate into real-world savings, greater convenience, and a reduced carbon footprint. Solar EVs, while still a niche globally, have been gaining attention as a bridge between traditional EVs and fully renewable powered mobility. These vehicles combine a conventional electric drivetrain with solar photovoltaic panels, either integrated into the roof, hood, or other surfaces, to generate electricity directly from sunlight. The electricity produced supplements the battery's stored charge, reducing the need for frequent charging from wall outlets or public stations. While solar energy's intermittent nature means it cannot completely replace plug-in charging for most drivers, it can substantially extend range and improve efficiency, especially for urban commuters or fleet vehicles with predictable, low-mileage routes. Internationally, a few automakers have been experimenting with this concept, though most have targeted premium or limited production markets. Dutch company Lightyear introduced the Lightyear Zero in 2022, a sleek solar-powered EV with 5 square meters of solar panels that could provide up to 44 miles or 71 kilometers of range per day in sunny conditions. Priced at an eye-watering €250,000, it is well out of reach for most buyers. In 2023, the company pivoted toward developing the Lightyear 2, a more affordable version projected to cost around €40,000, but production timelines have been uncertain. Germany's Sono Motors launched the Scion, a compact solar EV priced at around €25,000, with an estimated 112 kilometers per week solar contribution, but financial difficulties halted mass production plans earlier in 2023. Toyota's Prius plug-in hybrid variant also experimented with optional solar panels that could add around 5 kilometers per day in optimal sunlight. Compared to these international attempts, India's Vayve Eva stands out for bringing solar EV technology to a sub-$7,500 price bracket, making it far more accessible to a mass-market audience. While its solar range contribution is smaller than that of the Lightyear Zero or Sono Scion, it is calibrated to India's urban mobility needs. According to the Indian Meteorological Department, much of the country receives between 4 and 7 kilowatt-hours per square meter per day of solar radiation, making rooftop photovoltaics not just viable but strategically advantageous. India's lead in this segment is tied to a mix of necessity and opportunity. On one hand, the country faces mounting urban congestion, worsening air pollution, and a heavy dependence on imported fossil fuels. On the other hand, its government has actively pushed electric mobility through initiatives like the faster adoption and manufacturing of hybrid and electric vehicles, or FAME scheme, subsidies, tax breaks, and state-level incentives. Combined with one of the fastest-growing solar energy sectors in the world, targeting 500 gigawatts of renewable capacity by 2030, this creates a unique ecosystem for solar EV adoption. Solar EVs, in general, offer distinct advantages beyond just running cost savings. They extend battery lifespan by reducing the frequency of deep charge cycles, lowering grid load during peak times, and reducing range anxiety by allowing a trickle charge effect even when parked outdoors. For fleet operators, especially in delivery or ride-hailing sectors. These benefits can translate to higher uptime and reduced operational costs over the years of use. Environmentally, every kilometer driven on solar power is effectively zero emission, without the upstream emissions associated with grid electricity in regions still reliant on coal. Of course, solar EVs are not a silver bullet. They cannot, with current photovoltaic efficiency, completely eliminate the need for plug-in charging, especially for long-distance driving. Weather variability, shading, and seasonal changes can all impact energy generation. Yet, in climates like India's, with relatively consistent sunshine and high urban density, the benefits are disproportionately high. The market impact of Eva is shaping up in two dimensions. The Vayve Eva positions itself as a purpose-built urban commuter for India's dense cities, where short trips, parking constraints, and congestion are daily realities. Compact, easy to park, and equipped with a roof-mounted solar panel, it competes with entry-level two-wheelers while raising awareness of greener mobility options. Its solar-electric approach challenges the critique that EVs are only as clean as the grid, offering a model that blends renewable energy with personal transport. A nationwide rollout depends on demand and charging infrastructure expansion, which remains uneven despite government mandates. While Eva currently dominates the solar EV niche, competition from compact EVs like the MG Comet EV looms, and solar gains will vary with India's diverse climates. Vayve also eyes export to sunny, congested markets abroad, with falling solar costs and rising panel efficiency promising greater future appeal. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Did you like this video? If you did, please consider liking, dropping a comment, and hitting the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on our new uploads. Also, don't miss this video you see on your screen right now. It's truly unbelievable.